and welcome to the Postmodern Art Podcast, the podcast dedicated to giving artists who are wowing the world over the platform they deserve. I'm your host, Aiden Ragland, and for today's episode, let's get nice and cozy and maybe get a little bit of an inside scoop to an incredible animator providing a fantastic piece of indie animation. Today's guest is Nico Colaleo, an animator and editor that has worked for the likes of Disney, Nickelodeon, Netflix, and more while producing his own indie animated series, Ollie and Scoops. Nico was such a cool connection to have and to bring on this podcast. Once again, thanks to the wonderful Tipsy J. Harts for being able to bring another fantastic guest. And the conversation that me and Nico had was really fantastic and really insightful more than anything else. Like, I'm sure you'll see this when you actually listen to the podcast, but you can genuinely tell the love for animation Nico has. And if that's something that you truly love and appreciate, then you're definitely going to love this episode. If you enjoy our guest for the evening, make sure you support him with the links down in the description below, especially catching up on Alli and Scoops. There's only 10 episodes so far, but it's a fantastic watch. I guarantee it. If you enjoy the podcast, make sure you like, share, subscribe, or follow whatever audio streaming platform you prefer. Leave 5 stars wherever you can. You know I see that stuff, and you know it warms my heart. If you want to go a little further with that support, maybe you should consider checking out the fantastic merch shop that we have on fourthwall.com, which the link to that will be in the description below. We have some fantastic streetwear done by some fantastic artists that have previously come on the podcast, and I think that you sincerely would look amazing in it today. And look, if all you want is a nice, cool, casual place where you can meet some incredible artists, share your work with others, and just have a good, fun time, maybe you should consider joining our Discord server, the Artist Sanctuary. We've already developed an incredible group of people that I love seeing their work every single time they share something, and I think you'd be a fantastic addition to that group today. But now, without further ado, please enjoy the Postmodern Art Podcast. How are you doing today?
Yeah, doing good. I always like keeping busy, so nice working through the weekend, which is nice.
Hey, whatever
It
gets
doesn't feel like work. It's all, it's all working on a cartoon, so it doesn't feel like work at all.
That is a very valid point. Like if my job was to work on cartoons all day, I would probably be in paradise more than anything else.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
What's the name of the podcast again?
The Postmodern Art Podcast.
Mm-hmm.
As well as if you want afterwards, I can send you like links and stuff so you can like keep up and figure out when that stuff is gonna go up. I'm gonna let you know right now. I have it planned that this episode is gonna be the last one of the year, December 28th.
Okay.
Yep. So, but yeah, no, it's I've had a wide range of guests, and it goes without saying I'm honored to have you on this podcast as well. Thank you for taking the time to do this seriously.
Sure thing. My pleasure. Thank you.
I guess I gotta thank Tipsy in the first place because she was the one that made the connection. So, but goodness, just out of curiosity, how did you and Tipsy get in touch with each other? Was it was she trying to pitch her short idea, or did she just reach out and be like, hey?
I think she just reached out on Twitter on DM. Yeah.
Well, that works. I should have known that I could have done the same thing. But that's why I appreciate her. Sometimes she's the one that takes initiative on guests that either I've thought about or never would have even considered having on the podcast beforehand. So yeah. I'm glad that she made this connection. We can make this a reality. Because trust me, especially looking through your back catalog and going through some of the stuff again, part of me is like, oh wow, he's incredible. Part of me is like, oh god, there's a lot to talk about.
Well, I'm down to get right into it.
All right, Nico, before we really get going, I must ask the icebreaker question of the podcast, if I may. Let's say you get to go to a desert island on your own accord. It's just you alone with your thoughts. You get to kick back, relax, breathe, get to truly enjoy yourself for a little bit. With accommodations, you're not stranded on an island. It's like a little Airbnb in the middle of nowhere, more than anything else. To help make sure you don't go completely insane on this island, you can bring one piece of media or one piece of art with you to help with whatever kind of headspace you want on this island. If given this opportunity, what would that one piece be?
Ooh. Can I give it's a tie between Simpsons
Okay.
or Looney Tunes or possibly Venture Brothers.
Ooh, each one of those good for their own reason more than anything else.
Yeah.
Those are all really good answers. Like, is there any particular reason why those are the ones that like first come to your mind on why you would want to like just spend more time watching those?
Looney Tunes, because it's probably my biggest inspiration animation-wise.
Mm-hmm.
Simpsons, because I think they're the best writing in terms of writing. And then Venture Brothers, I think it's the best at world building and character building. Yeah, different reason for each one.
I mean, and like 3 unique shows, 3 unique reasons. I mean, there honestly any one of those answers is not a wrong answer. I mean, more than anything else. But regardless, either The Simpsons or Looney Tunes or The Venture Brothers, that is your answer. You're locking that in.
It's tough to pick one of them. I would have to say all three if possible. I guess if I had to choose, probably Looney Tunes has the most content. They have 1,000 shorts.
That is true. That is
all
extremely
made
true.
in 30 years. So yeah.
I mean, I'm very lenient with the rules, all right? Like, if you wanted to say all three, like, you could go for it. But also, like, I also get where you're coming from, especially the Looney Tunes from, again, the early start of it to what we have nowadays with, so, you know, a few characters and a few people voicing it that you may or may not know. But we'll definitely get to that later. But, but regardless, those are all incredible answers and honestly a wonderful way to start the Postmodern Art Podcast. Welcome, everyone. I am your host, Nathan Ragland. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, or follow whatever audio streaming platform you prefer. You can get some incredible merchandise at the shop. Go to check the link in the description below for our Fourth Wall shop. And follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Blue Sky at Postmod Art Pod for future updates and guest announcements, including today's guest. He is an animator, editor, and art gallery curator who's worked with Disney, Nickelodeon, Netflix, DreamWorks, and more while producing his own independent animated series, Ollie and Scoops. Welcome to the podcast, Nico Colaleo!
Come on down. Thank you so much. Great to be here. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Well, like I said before, it is a pleasure to have you here. Obviously, like, even just going through that little bit alone, I don't think my introduction does enough justice for just the incredible work you've had, both working in the industry and helping out on the independent animation scene. Like, it's truly an honor to have you here to talk about
Thank you.
Ollie and
Thanks
Scoops. So much fun.
I'm not even 40 yet. Who knows what's going to happen in the next 10 years?
Oh my god, you made me feel, oh goodness, I did not even realize that. I wasn't even asking for age and you said that. I'm like, oh my god, you were doing a lot and you're not even like, wow, goodness.
Thanks. I don't know if, I don't know. I guess the whole point of this is to toot my own horn, but I just got nominated for an Emmy a couple of weeks ago.
That's right.
I'm really excited about that. The awards are in a week, but by the time this podcast comes out, it will have already passed. So, you know, I don't care if I win or not. To be nominated is such an honor. So, you know, I'm happy either way.
Look, as someone that was nominated for an award ceremony recently, thank you to the 2023 Toonies, I get that whole entire honor of at least being nominated among so many incredible people. Like, just to say that, like, you were in like the same class as such and such, or like you're up for the same reward that some of the shows that you even mentioned beforehand like have won and deservedly won. And so the fact that you're even within that league, it just blows your mind more than anything else. And I will obviously let the people know in the true intro whether or not you actually won that Emmy, but you know I got my fingers crossed for you more than anything else.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
But before we discuss the stuff that you're doing nowadays, especially the reason why you got that Emmy, I want to go back just a little bit and learn more or less the origin story of Nico. What got you interested in art and animation in the first place?
I grew up watching cartoons all the time. I remember my mom, my grandmother, every birthday or holiday or whatever, a lot of my presents were always like VHS tapes, Tom and Jerry cartoons, Looney Tunes, Popeye, Betty Boop cartoons. And, this was also the 80s, so there were old cartoons much more often on TV,
Hmm.
especially compared to now. So, yeah, I just always grew up watching them. And then, perfect age for Who Framed Roger Rabbit when that came out
Yes.
really kind of set the animation coming back in a big way, and then into the 90s obviously with The Simpsons, and then all the Steven Spielberg Warner Brothers shows, Tiny Toons, Animaniacs, Freakazoid, all that good stuff. So yeah, just and obviously Nicktoons and
Yep.
Ren and Stimpy and Rugrats and all that, Rocco, and yeah, just I think it was just a really really helpful to be an 80s and 90s kid that just grew up with it around me all the time. So as far back as I can remember, I've been into animation. Animation and film. I went to school for film, but I guess I just landed in animation once I was here in LA. I just knew more people, had more friends. It was the plan was always to get into either film or animation. So thankfully, one of them worked out.
Absolutely. I mean, I just gotta say, for me personally, like, I grew up more or less in the 2000s and like early 2010s and whatnot. So a lot of the stuff that you're talking about, like, I was able to still absorb it like secondhand, like
Mhm.
in reruns and stuff like that. So believe it or not, you're still speaking to my childhood, especially like
Yeah.
especially those Steven Spielberg animated stuff, like you had said, the Tiny Toons,
Mhm.
Animaniacs, Freakazoid, which I don't think people talk enough about. Like,
Mhm.
goodness. And like, obviously,
It's because as I was growing up with those shows, it seemed like the shows were being made as to appeal to us as we got older. Because the youngest, Tiny Toons, I guess you could kind of consider that to be like maybe aimed at the younger audiences of those
yeah,
shows.
true.
And then like as I got a little bit older, then like Animaniacs kind of grew up with me, and then Freakazoid is like. Freakazoid, I can't really see like little kids being into it. It like if you're a teen or an adult, like it really hits a lot better that show.
Yeah,
So it's not like the shows were growing up with me as I grew up.
that I mean, yeah, especially with those shows. So I'm wondering, like, obviously being absorbed to such amazing stuff, like both past and present at the time, and developing that love almost instantly. When did it go from just like a general love for animation to a passion and then wanting to make it your career?
This it ties in also to film, but my brother and I, we would always just always have our parents' video camera, and growing up would just make silly shorts, stop motion films, playing with our Star Wars action figures, and do little stop motion movies with them. That's going really far back, but once I graduated high school, we actually had a public access TV show we called it Happy Hour, and it was half an hour episodes of just a bunch of our short films, kind of all meshed together into a half an hour, slot. So making all those shorts and comedy bits and sketches and stuff, that really helped me learn everything: writing, editing, even acting and directing and everything, camera work, and that's when I started editing, and I love all aspects of it, but editing I really fell in love with because you can film something amazing and totally ruin it in editing, or you can film something terrible and make it great through editing. So editing can really make it or break it, and I just that the power that editing has, it just I don't know, it really spoke to me, and I mean, at this point, I started editing. I started learning editing through that show, Happy Hour, and that was early 2000s. So I've been editing for about 20 years, I guess.
Yeah.
And, I'm not tired of it. I still love it, So
I mean, it's certainly something. Though I do have to criticize one major thing about what you said right there. All right,
Sure.
you said that the show was called Happy Hour, but it was only half an hour. That's only
Well, yeah. Some the first couple episodes were an hour, and then uh,
Oh,
it just a lot of them were just taking too long, and we're like, well. we can either have them be an hour but only make like an episode a year, or change it more to 20 or 30 minutes and get a lot more good stuff out. So yeah,
Okay.
that is, the irony is not lost on me. We definitely thought of that at the time. This isn't
I can only
actually
imagine.
60 minutes. Only a few of them are, but whatever.
Well, at least there was some that was true to its name, and the rest of it, yeah, you can fix it in editing, right?
Yeah.
Which, speaking of, like, believe it or not, like, whenever I was first doing my research on you, like, the editing aspect of it was not the thing that I was expecting to really delve a lot into. But whenever I did my research, I was just amazed with how much you've had a hand in when it comes to the editing aspect. So, like, you kind of illustrated it a little bit, but I kind of want to, like, know on a more in-depth layer, because I'm also a person that went to film school as well. I went to Valdosta State University in South Georgia. Didn't get the degree yet, but I got a few more classes to go. But like I've made short films and stuff like that. I've been through that entire process, and editing, I'm sure you can easily test this. It's something else, like you kind of illustrated beforehand. But like, what is it about editing for you that just like you feel the most comfortable in, like is your true comfort zone?
That's a tough one to answer because it just comes naturally. I mean, the best is when I'm editing something and it's like I'm actually laughing at what I'm editing, or even crying. I've worked on a couple shows. It took 20 years, but the last couple shows I worked on, they had some really emotional moments. It was like, wow. I mean, like if I'm tearing up while I'm editing, adding in the sentimental music and all that stuff, that they must be doing a good job. But yeah, I mean, just I always think of editing like a puzzle, and
Yes.
you're getting all the pieces and you're just, putting it all together. I love taking all these little things and where it's nothing yet, and building it and making it something. That's always been the most appealing part to me. It's definitely a journey to create something through editing, and depending on whether or not you're making a comedy or a drama or whatever, it's all the same, and
Yep.
it's fun. And I got also fortunate because editing in film and animation, it's the same techniques and it's the same programs and everything. So but thankfully it didn't matter what one I fell into, animation or film. I would have been ready either way with the editing experience I had. So I'm thankful for that too.
Yeah, I mean, especially the shows that you've been able to have a hand in when it comes to the editing aspect. I mean, I'm just gonna briefly run through some of the ones I was able to highlight, but you've had a hand in editing such shows such as Randy Cunningham, Ninth Grade Warrior, Pig, Goat, Banana, Cricket. Pickle and Peanut, Star versus the Forces of Evil, Kid Cosmic, Storybots. Like you've had a hand in some incredible shows and incredible animation. Like I'm genuinely curious. Like, I can only imagine how the editing process is like for you, because I know at least for me, like sometimes depending on what the project is, it seems like infuriating at first, but like the more you start to like carve away at stuff, and the more you really like get to the vision that you want it to be or what it needs to be, like it becomes more and more like rewarding the further it goes along. So back to the original point, like what is the editing process like for you when working on anything like this, or the shows you work on?
Well, when you mentioned Ninth Grade Ninja, that was the first show I worked on. That was for Titmouse. It was a Disney show, but it was at Titmouse.
Okay.
And that was the first that was the first animation project that I edited on. Before that, it was just my public access show and live action stuff. So it was daunting at first, but I slipped right into it. It was fine. I found that editing animation, it really helps to, this probably sounds obvious, but it really helps to have grown up just watching cartoons. I mean, if I'm working, most of the stuff I work on is comedy.
Mm-hmm.
So it helps to watch cartoons and just have that comic timing. I'm not going to name names, but I've worked with other editors who really didn't watch cartoons or really weren't animation fans. And
Okay.
when they got to editing animation, just like their timing was slow, and yeah, I would try to help them and give them pointers and stuff, and they just wouldn't get, they wouldn't progress or get any, they just couldn't really catch it. And I just found like I think watching all those cartoons all those years just really kind of helped my timing and to put it all together. a couple frames can make all the difference.
True.
That's what Chuck Jones said about, Roadrunner and Coyote cartoons and stuff like that. So yeah, I hope that answers the question.
I think it more answers this question kind of getting the idea of like obviously like as someone that appreciates this stuff, you kind of have that headspace of like how you want to play out, how it should like
Yeah,
flow in the way that it should for either a comedy or a drama or whatever kind of like series that you're working on. I'm genuinely curious. Again, I ran through a good list, and Lord knows how many others I've missed or whatnot. But just off the top of your head, I'll ask the negative one before I ask the positive one. But what has been more or less the most frustrating, like either part of the job or most frustrating job that you've had, just because like you weren't anticipating the task that you were given when you signed up?
that is going to be tough to answer because, well, I can't really be too negative on some of these
No, that's
because,
understandable.
yeah, I'm just afraid of someone that worked with me hearing that I listened to their show is the most negative one. Thankfully I have not had too many negative experiences in my
Good.
13, 14 years in the industry so far. There are definitely shows that I like better than other shows. Like, I'll just say, Kid Cosmic off the top of my head because there are a few shows I worked on like Kid Cosmic where I'd be like, you know what, I would totally watch this even if I didn't work on it. It's that good. It's right up my alley. It's something that I like.
Right.
I haven't loved every single thing I've ever worked on, but it's never a bad experience because it's still a paying job, and how wrong can you go with that? Other shows, that I really, I mean, I've liked something about every show I've worked on.
Right.
There's a couple that have just been, I guess the only negative thing I can say is that like it was just maybe a little bit more difficult, maybe because of the pandemic or
Right.
something like that. I've worked with some directors and showrunners that have also kind of also been editors, and they've kind of jumped in and edited with me, and it turned out to kind of be confusing or a little counterintuitive because there was too many cooks. I would
Yep.
I would just say, and sometimes it's just like, hey, like leave me to the editing. I'm the editor.
That's valid. That's valid.
So
I,
um,
I mean, I think you
yeah,
can. I think.
have to jump in and edit a little
I mean, I think.
edit on their own, and I would have to be like, oh, what they do, or what they, I got to catch up with what they did, or whatever. So yeah,
I mean, that's. I mean, I wasn't anticipating you to like straight up be like, "This was the worst experience I've ever
yeah,
had." Don't want like.
I
I
know,
was
I
just.
know.
I just can only imagine that like you were saying like whether it be like a weird communication thing in one way or another, especially with the pandemic times, like that could have been like a
Sure.
really infuriating part about it. But I mean, at the end of the day, like the fact that like you were saying with shows kind of like Kid Cosmic and such, the fact that you've had a hand in some of these shows and really bring it to reality, I can imagine that has to be some of the most rewarding part about being an editor.
Yeah. There's lots of rewarding parts, but I mean, this is speaking also from my personal work, like Ollie and Scoops or my DreamWorks TV series Too Loud, is when you see that the show all put together and an audience is watching it and they're laughing and enjoying the stuff that I wrote and I worked on.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the best feeling ever. It's the best feeling in the world. Lots of rewarding parts during the process, of course.
Oh yeah.
But when everything is said and done and it's all finished and the work is on the screen and you see people enjoy it, especially children, that's just the best feeling.
Oh, I can only imagine. Now, aside from your personal work, and trust me, we will divulge a lot into that in a second. But out of all the stuff that you've had a hand in, the shows you've been able to work on, do you have a personal favorite show or personal favorite moment that you had a hand editing in? You could look back and be like, "This is incredible." No matter if I was the one that did this.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of all the shows I've worked on. Again, Kid Cosmic was great. Piggo Banana Cricket, while it didn't really resonate with viewers or fans, it was still a really fun show to work on and probably the best crew I've ever worked with. We're just, because every show in this industry, every show you work on, you're meeting another 60 to 80 people that work on that show. So you make a lot of friends and you know a lot of people. And there's okay crews, there's really fun crews, and then there's great crews. And that's what's another really special thing is when you just meet that crew where like you become friends with almost everyone there. And that was definitely Pig Goat, Banana Cricket for Nickelodeon. That was just like one, and Randy Cunningham, Ninth Grade Ninja. Both of those especially, I think, were just like there was a crew that like a lot of crew members, a lot of people kind of go their separate ways once they're all done on the show. But those are still people that I keep in touch with, every day, all the time.
Good.
Yeah, and those are two Pig Goat and Randy. Those are my first two shows. So even 13 years ago, I still talk to them all the time. Yeah, it's great getting to meet so many great people and I feel pretty fortunate that in 14 years I've only met like four jerks, maybe five. Considering you're meeting about 100 people per year on per show,
True.
that's not bad, 4 or 5 jerks, not bad at all.
No.
So
It's not bad at all. I wanted to say real quickly when it came to Pig Goat Banana Cricket. I believe this is not the first time that show has been brought up on this podcast because if I remember,
really?
if I remember correctly, a previous guest I had way back, like episode 13, the guy's name is Joe Horn. I don't know if that name even remotely rings a bell to you. Yeah, I was gonna say I've had him on the podcast, and I believe he worked on the show, and he had brought it up. And I know my buddy Jay, like, because I had him as part of the episode, he got super excited whenever we brought up that show because that was a show that he loved. So yeah.
Oh, cool, good. Oh, hey, well, that makes one of us. No, I like the show too. I know it didn't do very well, so I liked it, but I loved how it looked. I'm a huge Dave Cooper fan. Dave was like, the whole show looks like it's in his style.
Right.
He's a magnificent artist, and I was a big fan of his before Pig Goat ever became a thing. So to be on that show and work with him, it was really cool. I liked it.
And obviously, considering all the years you've worked in the industry, the fact that, like you mentioned basically at the top of the show, that you're being at least recognized for it with getting an Emmy nomination not too long ago, that has to be like surreal more than anything else. To realize that the stuff you had a hand in is being recognized to the point where you could potentially have a statue sitting in the background somewhere.
Yeah, it's very surreal. The Emmy, incidentally, is for Storybots, which I was on, the last year or two at Netflix. It's been a while since I've been on it, but the Emmy was for editing on Storybots, and we'll see what happens. I'm excited.
Fingers crossed. Again, if you win, I will find a way to like edit Emmy on your counter right there.
Oh,
from this point of the podcast onward, there will be an Emmy just poorly edited in the background right there.
Yeah, you can just Photoshop it right here.
There you go, perfect. Your head is the perfect indication of that.
I'm stressor there.
Fingers crossed that I actually get the opportunity to do that. But again, like as incredible as to work on this stuff in the industry and stuff, obviously, as surreal and incredible it is to work on these other projects, I could tell from the start, especially talking about the happy hour that you started working on in high school and college and stuff, that you had a hand for your own creativity. You wanted to bring your own stuff out there. Now, your first opportunity to do that was I don't know if it's the first opportunity, but at least one of the first big opportunities you had was working with DreamWorks TV to bring out this incredible series known as Too Loud. Now, for those that might be curious and may have never heard of this before for some reason, how would you describe Too Loud?
It's their 5-minute YouTube shorts back when DreamWorks TV's YouTube channel was actually showing animation. And it's when they asked me to pitch it, these were really simple 5 minutes max for kids. So really, really simple stuff. So I came up with 3 ideas. Too Loud was the third one, and I just pitched it as a teenage brother and sister. They work at a library, but they have abnormally large heads and faces and mouths, which makes them really clumsy and the two loudest people in the world. And of course, they're librarians, so hijinks ensue.
Hijinks ensue.
That's the bare bones, simplest way to describe it.
Yeah.
And it went really well for them. We had 2 seasons, 16
Yeah.
episodes total, and that was great. That was a great time.
Like, it had to be incredible even thinking that at least have the opportunity in the first place to pitch an idea to DreamWorks to bring it forth more than anything else. Like, how surreal was it for you to have an opportunity to even pitch a show?
Very surreal. I mean, I was. It was like a friend of a friend of a friend who was the producer at DreamWorks. Since then, obviously we've worked together and we're friends now. But they reached out to me and they was like, hey, Nico, you're a creative guy. We'd love to hear some ideas that you might have for, again, simple 5-minute kid-oriented shows on YouTube. So yeah, like I mentioned, I came up with 3 ideas. They said, just come on down and pitch whatever you want. Give us 3 ideas so we can have something to choose from. All 3 ideas were as, simple as Too Loud was, and Too Loud was the 3rd idea, and they liked it, and they bought it. And I remember couple weeks after initially pitching them and getting the phone call saying like, well, we want to move forward with Too Loud, and just like, that's all they had to mention. I was just like, whoa, just like, that's okay, cool. I just have never. I've pitched a lot of rejections over a decade or so, and just to finally hear the exact opposite, surreal is a good word for it. And obviously excitement, super excited because just as soon as I'm able to be told, you have a show now, go ahead and make it. Just all the ideas just start flowing, and all the characters, side characters, locations they could go, crazy adventures they could go on, and it all just comes from there. Yeah.
I mean, like you said, after hearing for years just kind of a no, sorry, we're gonna pass, that's just and such, the moment that you get a yes, I imagine that experience was a complete whirlwind for you to be creative and to truly go forth and bring something to the table that is just truly something else.
Yeah, I mean, the first bunch of times you pitch anything, I don't think anyone gets a yes on their first try.
Right.
So you just get used to hearing no. And then once you hear a yes, you're almost like, sorry, did you make a mistake? Did you mean to say no? Because I'm just used to hearing that. Wait, you said the opposite. Are you sure? Yeah, so
I wonder if some of these, this is just me speaking on my own thing, this is my own personal views and whatnot. I wonder if studios have like a dedicated, just like no person, just like a person that they go to be like, hey, got a couple people that you need to say no to. You think you can handle it this time? Good, gotcha.
yeah. Yeah, they're really good at, giving people bad news in the most, kindest way.
I was say, considering some of the recent animation news, you could say good in the kindest way. But that is a whole different story. Let's stick with the positives. Let's stick with Too Loud. Now, again, like I was saying, like I can imagine, how was the experience like for you to like bring these characters to life and bring these silly adventures to the world?
It was fantastic. They were very I don't know if I just got fortunate or whatever. They were very hands off. They were just like, as long as kids can watch it and it's under 5 minutes, those are the only 2 rules really. Do whatever else you want. So they gave a lot of freedom. Really cool. I didn't, I wasn't setting to push any envelopes or anything. I knew what this was supposed to be, so I always kept it, all ages, kid oriented. And I never really got any like big notes or no's or anything really from them. They were pretty much into whatever I pitched to them. So I mean, at first it just started with 6 episodes, and they said we'll see how those do, and then go from there. So just those first six, they're really simple, really easy. They're all 3-4 minutes, but maybe 5 minutes tops. And it was, how many silly adventures can Jeffrey and Sarah get into while working at a library with having big loud heads?
Yep.
You'll notice in season 2, I was already kind of like, let's get them out of the library. Like, there's barely any episodes where that takes place there. I want to see them, interact in other places. But those first six definitely had to be like, okay, like, all have to be in the library, just to set the show up and everything like that. So.
Right, absolutely. Is there a particular again? Is there a particular favorite moment or favorite episodes from your Too Loud run that you can think of?
Um, as we get into shows and everything, it's I'm never a fan of like first episodes or first couple episodes because we're the crew or whoever it is, they're all still figuring everything out.
Yeah, you're trying to get your footing.
Getting the footing, getting the characters down. Like, I think Too Loud episode 1 is definitely the worst because it's all set up.
Right.
And there's like barely any jokes. There's barely like nothing. And then, by the time we get to season 2, that's where we're having fun. And it's like, okay, we got all the establishment stuff out of the way. All the characters are set up. Now we can actually have fun with it. I really love Checked Out. It's the one where their friend Logan has a book that's been checked out forever, and they like put on spy suits and infiltrate his house to get the book back. And Rich Evans and Mike Stoklasa from Red Letter Media are both in that one. That one's a really fun one. I really like the season finale with Jeffrey's birthday. That's one in real time, like Run Lola Run. And it's in real time. It actually is in 5 minutes, and there's even a little counter in the corner saying like how much time Sarah has left to go running and getting Jeffrey a replacement birthday present before he finds out that his present got ruined. And then there's kind of an infamous episode, the one where trans episode where Jeffrey becomes Desiree, and that actually kind of made a big splash and got a lot of pro-trans websites talking about it, and it got on a list of like best trans representation in animation, which has only been around for a few years or so.
Right.
And yeah, so that was I think those little handful of episodes are my favorites for sure.
That's good. That's good. I'm glad to hear that. Like, obviously, the experience, especially with those characters, more than anything else, like you really. That's one of the things I've noticed. The more I delved into your stuff, you've had a hand in creating such unique characters that are truly memorable in one way or another. Like, I love the characters that you set up and like their interactions. I don't know if it's just a commendation of your writing or whatnot, or just how you set it up, but like your characters are some of the best part of your cartoons, and that's what I truly love coming back to seeing what you produce.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Characters are coming up with characters is, most of the fun of making something is just coming up with these characters. And they're always, you always want to put at least a little bit of yourself in each of your characters, especially your main characters. I always say if you put Jeffrey and Sarah together, essentially you get me. Or if you put Ollie and Scoops together, it's essentially me. And even villains, obviously, no one's an evil supervillain, but you always want to put some of your own flaws or your insecurities or whatever into like one of your villain characters. It's the best way to connect with your characters and create something that's really from the heart, is to put a lot of yourself in your own characters, or even a lot of your life experiences and the stories, stuff like that.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of characters, obviously, let's talk about a couple of characters that a lot of people these days would know you for, and that is the wonderful duo of Ollie and Scoops. Now, like I said, this is one that you're actually doing independently on your own. Why did you decide to go forth and just create these characters? Like, what was more or less the spark for them, and why did you want to just go forth on your own and be like, I can do this?
I got really friggin' sick of pitching them and getting no's.
Okay, so there's a good story for them, huh?
I came up with those characters, Ollie and Scoops, about 10 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And I came up with them specifically to pitch. I came up with them specifically for Nickelodeon at the time, and they still do. Whenever you pitch something, Nickelodeon really wants two best friends. If they're human, they have to be a kid. If they're an animal, they can be any age, but have a childlike personality or, childlike outlook. Think SpongeBob, he has a job, he can drive a car, but he's very childlike. Um, and and then of the two best friends, one of them a little more common sense, and the other one either sillier or dumber, or Scoops isn't the dumb one, but he's the one that usually kind of triggers the trouble that gets caused in the episode,
Right.
and then Ollie is usually the one that has to save the day, make things right. So I came up with I was like, okay, what are I got to make up two best friends. What are my two favorite types of cartoon characters? Funny animal, cute girls, funny animals. So I thought, Ollie, 9-year-old girl, her pet Scoops. Okay, great, girl and a cat. But what's the hook? Every show has to have a hook, something that makes it interesting. And then I came up with all of Ollie and Scoops in about 10 minutes. It was a really successful 10 minutes. But yeah, out of the hook, what if Ollie is the only human in the whole world that can talk to cats and understand cats? And then I just kept going from there. Oh, because she can talk to cats, she gets to have all these crazy adventures and gets to be a part of this and get to see the secret underground cat society that cats have that humans don't know about. And
Right.
she gets to go on all these special adventures because of her special ability. And then yeah, stories flowed from there, and that's how I
Absolutely.
came up with
See,
them.
that was the thing that I was gonna like initially say. Like, whenever I was like watching Ollie and Scoops, like this seems like a perfect like cartoon for like a Nickelodeon or for like Cartoon Networks and something along the lines that
Thank you. I get that
like
a lot too. Ever since we started making them, I've always gotten like, this feels like like early '90s Nicktoon. I get that
yeah.
all the time, and I love it. That's great. That's
I'm
exactly what it's that's it. That's what it's made to be by someone who watched those cartoons when they came out and grew up with them. So it makes total sense that Ollie and Scoops would feel like an early '90s Nicktoon.
right. I mean, if nothing else, it just showcases that you understood the assignment and you executed it perfectly. But yet, for some reason, the people that gave the assignment in a way are not the ones that appreciate it for some reason.
I will give credit to Nick where it's due. They do like Ollie and Scoops. I have now pitched to them twice in
Okay.
the past 10 years, and the only thing that keeps getting in the way is it's just bad timing.
Okay.
Um, the first time it just keeps being, accidentally too similar to something that they already have in the works,
Mm-hmm.
or they might already have too many cat characters at a time. The first time I pitched, it was a no, just because it was I made up Ollie and Scoop specifically for the pitch program, and they liked it. They had no notes, but they just said, we have 1,000 submissions and we can only pick 10 or
Okay.
12 or whatever it was, and so it was just a matter of having too many people to pick. And
Fair.
then this most recent time, I'm talking in the last like month,
Oh.
I got a no just because they're working on another. They currently also have something in development that also stars a cat, and they just said, it might be too many shows about cats. But we still like Ollie and Scoops. We can tell it's a special thing, and that you have a lot of great ideas for it, and we really like it. But I guess they just don't want two cat shows. Even if those two shows have nothing in common besides the species of the main character, but whatever.
I mean
Yeah,
they
so
I mean they could have taken advantage and taken like the two, have them premiere on Saturday and call it Catter Days. Like
sure, yeah, yeah,
cartoon Catter
yeah.
Days. Like it's right there, people.
Same thing with Netflix. I pitched them to Netflix. That was like 2017, I think.
Okay.
And they said, we, again, really like it, but we have a show in development that's also a 9 or 10-year-old girl where her pet is her best friend. That show turned out to be Hilda. I don't
Oh.
see any similarity between Hilda and Ollie and Scoops besides the main character is a 10-year-old girl, but
Yeah.
you just can't help it if two things are two projects are just a little too similar for the network's taste, I guess.
That's fair.
So anyway, years and years and years of pitching, and I pitched to Nick, Netflix, Cartoon Network, and after a while, I was just like, well, it was after Too Loud finished. And I was like, I need to work on something of mine now that Too Loud is done. Otherwise, I'm going to go nuts. So I looked at older characters. Oh yeah, Ollie and Scoops. Hey, you know what? I pitched them a lot. It's not going anywhere. That route, I've saved up a lot of money. Why not just make them myself? And so that's what I did. And since 2019, we've been making Ollie and Scoops, and now, 5 years later, we're 10 plus episodes in, and I try to do a holiday song every holiday, and there's quickies now. We're doing like 1 or 2 minute long quickie shorts in between the full length episodes, and there's merch, and it seems to have gotten a good following, going well. So I'm glad I stopped. I'm glad I stopped pitching. And I'm just gonna do this on my own. Let's just make it. Let's just make these things.
I mean, more than anything else, like the thing that I appreciate is the fact that you went forward and you just decided after so many different no's that if there's gonna be one person to give you yes, it's gonna be you yourself that's gonna make it a reality. Like, how daunting was it for you to go forth and make your own show? Because obviously, like, leading a team with the backing of like a DreamWorks or something like that behind you, like, is one thing, but to go forth and to do this like on your own with your own 2 feet to stand on, like, how daunting of a task was it?
Not as daunting as normally because I had Too Loud already under my belt.
Okay.
And Too Loud was like Happy Hour, my public access show. It was a great way to get my feet wet, you know, practice on having a crew, being the captain of the ship, show running, directing, writing, doing everything, pretty much. And because I had the experience with Too Loud already, by the time we got to Ollie and Scoops, it was pretty easy. I used it's the same crew as Too Loud. You're not gonna work perfectly with everyone. So during Too Loud, there was a few employees that, sometimes it just wouldn't work out. Trial and error until I got the perfect crew that worked great with me. And then by the time Too Loud was done, I had that crew. So we just moved right on to Ollie and Scoops, and it was like nothing had ended, and it was like nothing had began. It was sort of just like a continuation. And, so yeah, by the time I had that crew of, 30, 40 people that, worked great with me. Starting Ollie and Scoops, the only real daunting part was that the budget wasn't coming from DreamWorks, it was coming from myself.
Right.
But then at the same time, it was still kind of easy because I just made sure to keep on top of the budget. Really.
There you go. At least you understood the both top and bottom line on what you're able to do and what you were able to spend more than anything else.
I think if Ollie and Scoops was made without Too Loud before it, and Ollie and Scoops was the first thing I ever made, I think it would not have gone as smoothly. It definitely would have been more daunting. Probably the cartoons wouldn't be as good because I wouldn't have had the experience that I gained from Too Loud, show running and managing a team of 30 or 40 people. So I feel like I got a lot of good practice with Too Loud. And then by the time Ollie came around, we just kind of slid right into it and just kept chugging along.
I mean, I think a certain thing that really helps with the show is, like I said before, just in general, but especially with this show, is the characters you kind of more or less develop. Like Ollie and Scoops, I love their chemistry and I love their like dynamic. Like, how important was it for you, especially to nail the aesthetic when it comes to Ollie and Scoops themselves?
There would be no show if it wasn't for their relationship. The whole show it's you can say oh, it's all the funny cats, or it's the hook, Ollie being able to talk to cats, but really at the end of the day, the whole show is Ollie and Scoops' friendship. They don't just, I even say in my pitch Bible, they aren't just friends, they complete each other. Without one or the other, the other is totally lost. And together, they're the perfect package. It's really that is the heart and idea behind the show. And ends up causing a lot of the conflict as the show goes on. Their friendship can go up and down, just like any, realistic friendship. It all comes back around to like them being best friends and them being together. And that's usually how, an episode will start and end. Whatever craziness happens in the middle, by the end, their friendship will always be stronger than ever. So yeah, that's the most important part.
I mean, I also have to agree. Like, also has to help that like the people that you have voicing these incredible characters really embody the characters and really bring them out to the fullest. Kimmy Robertson and Eric Bauza. If you guys are listening to this, you guys are doing a fantastic job, really bringing these characters to life.
Thank you. Yeah, yeah. Kimmy was always my first choice for Ollie.
Okay.
I was always a Twin Peaks fan, and just her voice is so unique and fun sounding. And it doesn't like I mean, it just fits, like, it doesn't even sound like a kid, but for some reason it just fits this 9-year-old animated girl really well.
Right.
And then, Scoops. I always just thought of like Gobo Fraggle from Fraggle Rock. That voice. I always just thought of that for Scoops. And one day I was just, when I was casting the characters, I was just texting with Bauza, and I was like, "Hey, out of all your voice actor friends, do you know anyone who can do Gobo Fraggle?" And then a couple of minutes later, he responded with a recording, a text, and I pressed play, and it was him doing, Scoops Gobo perfectly, just going like, "I think I can do it, Neeks," or something, like whatever he said. I was like, "Okay, great, you can do it." I should have known from the beginning, because Bowser can do any voice ever. So yeah, that's how he became Scoops.
Yeah, I was gonna say Bowser, like, again, like, just Bowser is one of those like once in a generation unique voice talents that I'm so glad people, especially nowadays with the Looney Tunes animations, especially, but nowadays people are truly loving and appreciating Eric and what he does. Like, it's incredible.
It's so I feel like a proud dad, even though he's older than me. But like I met him 20 years ago when I think he might have done like one voice for he was Stimpy in the Ren and Stimpy reboot, the adult party group. He was Stimpy, and that was it. That's all he had at the time.
I did not realize that. I did.
20 years ago, yeah. And then since then, obviously, he's just gone. He does everything, and now he's Bugs and Daffy, for Christ's sakes.
Yep.
Like he's reached the top. He is the new Mel Blanc. It's really awesome.
Especially with how much he shows a lot of love and support for the actors and the just voice acting in general. Like, I feel like that is actually oozes through. And I mean, when you want to talk about voice actors, like, I'm impressed with the voice acting crew you've been able to get on board for this. Aside from Kimmy and Eric, having Greg Griffin, Dana Schneider, Mara Wilson, Jeffrey Combs, Stephen Wyatt, Brock Breaker, even having Craig McCracken narrate for a little bit. Like, it has to be insane. Like, not just with the cast you have, but also the crew you've been having on board. Like, it has to amaze you, like, all the people that you've been able to get on board to really bring this fun little cute idea to life.
Thank you. That actually reminds me, I've been wanting to post that clip on Twitter, but that was just being on Kid Cosmic, and I would have worked with Craig every day, and I was like, the opening of my next Ollie and Scoops episode, it opens up very similarly to a Powerpuff Girls episode, because it's just like, the cityscape, the city skyline, and then like a narration. And I was like, Craig, you did the original narrator voice in your Powerpuff Girls whoop-ass girls college film. Would you do that same line for this opening episode of Ollie and Scoops? The city of, California. It was Townsville, but this one, California. And he's like, I'm not a voice actor. Why would you want me to voice act in that? I was like, because you did it in the original Powerpuff Girls, short college film. It's just one line. He was like, if you want me to ruin your cartoon, okay. He did fine. He did totally fine. But it was that was really cool to get him to do his iconic Powerpuff Girls opening and have him actually do it. That was really awesome. But yeah, gosh, so many, Dana Snyder. I'm a huge Aqua Teen fan, and
yes,
Master Shake in there, and Jeffrey Combs and Barbara Crampton. The latest Ollie and Scoops episode has both of them, and that's a little Reanimator reunion, one of my favorite 80s horror movies.
Yes.
Reanimator. And they're both the stars of that, and they both play the parents of the creepy girl. Also, Mara Wilson is the creepy girl All us, our generation, knows her as Matilda, '90s Matilda movie. Mrs. Doubtfire, the youngest girl in that movie. Yeah, she's. They're all great, all
Yes.
amazing.
And it also extends to the crew, obviously, like really the crew that you've amassed together to really bring forth such a really professional looking like cartoon more than anything else. Like really outstanding, really stunning, visuals that you have. Like example, like you said, that recent episode, whenever spoiler alert, but whenever like we see kind of the haunting happening inside the cornfield and such, like all the different elements of that, from the sound to the backgrounds and just the aesthetic, like it was just golden. I absolutely love that episode. I
Thank
especially
you.
love
Thanks
that
so
little
much.
sequence.
Thanks. That was yeah, super fun. Oh my gosh, I could just reminisce all day. But you know, we got the Red Letter Media guys as Bronk and Merle. Rich Evans and Mike Stoklasa.
Hmm.
Um, gosh,
I mean,
so many pals. Vivian, my friend Viv from Has Been Hotel.
yep.
She's she's Poopsie, one of the rich little spoiled brat cat.
Hmm. Like it's again, it goes back to what I was originally saying. Like it has to be insane. Like just thinking of like, especially the quality that you put out forth, and more than anything else, like does it amaze you more or less just how do I want to word this? Like in your mind, like seeing the output that you've been able to have with Ollie and Scoops, like does it amaze you more or less the quality you're able to put out there into the world?
It always amazes me how talented my team of animators are. Like, I hate to name names because then I will forget people. I don't want anyone to feel bad. I just shout out to my whole crew, but I have to single out Zerl, Josh Palmer.
Oh yeah.
He's just like his animation just blows me away. I can't believe it. He came in. Uh, Towards the end of Too Loud season one, and I hadn't even seen his animation. He was just recommended to me, and I was like, okay, I just need real help really quick on these shots because we're stressed. We're rushing here to finish this. And then he turned in his first scene, and I was like, where have you been all my life? Like, I wasn't anticipating the animation to be like feature quality. So I love everyone. I hate to like not just sit here and list names, but we'll be here forever. But
I can imagine.
Josh, especially is just like such a talented guy. So yeah, when I see the animation for Ollie and Scoops, especially all edited together in a completed uh, uh, project. It just I think it looks great.
I mean,
For
I
indie YouTube animation, I think it looks pretty damn good.
yeah, I mean that actually honestly leads to another point. Like you kind of mentioned, like having Viv and Zero like helping out with your project and stuff, and then seeing how you are on the internet. More than willing to lend a hand out to people that are trying to go forth with their own projects, and helping them out, whether it be with like one-on-one pitches or like just trying to do what you can to promote certain people. Like how important is it for you, not just as an indie animation creator but as an animation lover yourself, how important is it for you to help out in the animation scene as you have been? Like how important is it for you to really put yourself out there and really try to help people bring their vision to life?
Extremely important. I think that I love that we're sort of in like I don't even know if it's like a renaissance or a golden age, because renaissance would mean that there had been a dark age before it. But we're in a period right now where like where indie animation is really thriving online. YouTube, Newgrounds, all those great outlets. But just to be a part of it is still an honor. There's so many great creators, and everyone kind of going for broke and trying to do their own thing and putting it out there. And nowadays it's easier than ever with YouTube. You can just put whatever you make on, and instantly everyone around the entire world can see it
Yeah.
and give feedback and let them know what they think. I love that. They always say don't read the comments, but I don't know. When it comes to my content, I like to hear what people think, and I like to hear their feedback, positive or negative. So I always try to not say, even though the show is for all ages, I hate that YouTube disables comments if you make it, for kids. If
Right.
you click that it's for kids, they get rid of the comments, and I was like, well, no, because I like to connect with the audience and know what they're thinking about it and saying. So I always, classify Ollie and Scoops as for adults, even though it's totally not. But yeah, and also. I could when you were I wanted to make a quick note about because you were mentioning earlier about the style of the animation and everything. A lot of times obviously the episodes take a long time and there's a really sometimes it can't help having a really big wait in between new episodes. I could change the style of animation and just make Ollie and Scoops all puppeted and rigged and in Flash and probably bust out a new episode every week, but that's just not the animation that I want the show to be. I want it to be as actually hand drawn, old school as possible.
Right.
And unfortunately, that means that episodes can take a long time. But I think in the end, it's worth it because it just looks so good and again, old school, again, Looney Tunes and,
Yeah.
classic cartoons. I don't want Ollie and Scoops to look like, puppeted and super digital looking and stuff like that.
I mean, there's certainly a time and place for some of those like animation
Yeah,
stuff like that. I mean,
absolutely.
I was gonna say like you said yourself, you're a fan of Aqua Team Hunger Force, and I think
Yeah,
it being puppeted worked out for it. But honestly, like Ollie and Scoops to me, and you can correct me if I'm wrong in saying this, although I feel like I'm right when I'm saying it feels like more or less a love letter to those classic cartoons, to those cartoons that you love more than
it
anything
is.
else.
Yeah,
Just kind of that the classic dynamic, the fun little adventures, like the different kinds of characters and different hijinks that they would go on a different episode, like that's one of the things that really comes through more than anything else with every single episode that I've watched with Ollie and Scoops. Like you've really put a lot of heart and soul, not just for the love of animation, but for the love of these characters in general. Like I think you do a fantastic job with that.
thank you. Thanks a lot. That means a lot.
I'm just being honest with you. Like I know it's probably hard to pick it because it's like picking your favorite child, but I'll ask again, do you have a personal favorite moment or a personal favorite episode from Ollie and Scoops so far?
My favorites always tend to be whatever the newest one is.
That's valid.
Um,
That's very valid.
That was always the case with the public access show. It
Hmm.
was always like a lot of friends would ask like, "What's your favorite episode?" I'm like, "The newest one, the one we just made,"
Yep.
because I think it's just it's the best compared to when we started, or the older they are. I really love and Ollie and Scoops is actually I tried really hard because like I mentioned earlier, I'm never a fan of episode ones because it's just all setting everything up. But I managed to make the first episode of Ollie and Scoops actually fun,
Yeah.
while setting things up. It is actually still fun and wacky and stuff like that. But
Who knew that bacon pizza would cause
oh
so much chaos?
oh yeah, and yeah, also try to have a moral or something where the characters grow or learn or succeed in something. That one is Ollie, realizing that she's, still growing, still a kid and can't do everything on her own because then, she tries to do something on her own and it ends up being a big cat catastrophe with all the cats having a big, party in the house and stuff like that. If I had to choose an episode, I would just say the newest one, episode 10.
Yeah.
I really love horror comedy also. That's just like I like it better than just straight up comedy and just straight up horror. I really love horror comedy. I don't know why. I've always been attracted to that. So whenever I get to do like a spooky episode of whatever show I'm working on for my day job, or Ollie and Scoops, episode 10 is kind of like it's a Halloween episode. Yeah, I just love that. I love doing like creepy stuff, infusing that in the all ages content.
I
It's
mean,
fun.
it certainly did come through with that episode, especially. I mean, for goodness sakes, like the main antagonist was spoiler alert, people, but the main antagonist was Abner Cornfellow of all places, of all people. Like
Yeah,
it's kind of hard
yeah.
to like.
Scoops gets possessed by a haunted videotape, and it becomes some weird like some weird guy from like 800 AD, the year 800 or something like that, and who's just like obsessed with corn and cornfields and
Yep.
just some weirdo. But yeah, that's somehow possessed a VHS tape in a video store.
Central. I was gonna say cornfield sounds like Central Illinois to me. Anyways,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you've been doing a lot of incredible work with Ollie and Scoops. I mean, you're even introducing the new quickies now, which is absolutely just fun. Like the both minimalist way to provide the maximum amount of fun in a good couple minutes. But like, I'm genuinely curious, what is the goal for Ollie and Scoops at this point forward? Like, obviously you put a lot into it. Like, are you going to keep how much further independently you're gonna try to keep producing this? Or are you gonna try to like see if a studio would want to pick up? Like, what is your ultimate goal with Ollie and Scoops?
Well, now that we have 10 episodes as of this past summer, that's what I've been doing the past few months is I said, you know what, let's take a break. We've got 10 episodes now. I'm going to go back to pitching. And so I've just been shopping it around LA the last few months. I'm still waiting to hear back from multiple places. If something happens, that would be the next step that I would like would be for Ollie and Scoops to be, an actual studio production and have it be a show on, whatever, Netflix or Nick or whatever. But if nothing happens, I say I'm happiest just going the route we've been going and just keep making them, keep making independent episodes and on YouTube. So if it goes that route, I'm sure something bigger will happen in time. But if they just keep going at the rate that they're going right now, where Ollie and Scoops is just an indie cartoon on YouTube, I'm still totally fine with that. And I'm happy with that because as it is right now, that's what it is, and it's been so rewarding already. And I'm immensely thankful for the audience and the fans that it already has. I could keep making Ollie and Scoops forever, and I plan to. I never want to stop making Ollie and Scoops because they turned out to be my favorite characters. So, I wouldn't ever want to stop, even though there's a long wait in between episodes. That doesn't mean that I quit or stopped making them. Sometimes it just takes time.
I mean this is animation we're talking about here. It's not like you can snap a finger and all of a sudden the animation, as much as certain people out there want to make that the reality. That's not how it works, people.
Right. The only time I get really bummed is if a new episode comes out and I get comments like oh, I thought you stopped making this, or like it's been so long since the last one, I thought you guys gave up, or like where's it been, or like I thought this ended a year. And so it's just a bummer because it takes a long time. And when there's such a wait in between episodes, the reality of it is just people forget and you have to remind them. So I'm happy to do that, but yeah, sometimes it takes a long time, either with animation itself taking a long time, or it taking a long time to get the funds needed to keep making more, which is where I'm at right now. Currently, I need more funds if I want to make more episodes, so that's what that's what I'm working on right now.
That's why if you guys want to see more Ollie and Scoops, there's like a merch shop and all this stuff. Yeah, absolutely. Which reminds me, as soon as I get paid next, I'm definitely getting like some pins and stuff, adding it to the pin board. Yeah,
Thank you.
Absolutely. I mean, like, just even thinking, like, whether it is with Ollie and Scoops or your editing work or even beforehand, just thinking just all the way back to whenever you were first a fan of animation, thinking of your art journey as a whole, does it amaze you more or less how far you've been able to come along as an artist?
It does, especially just, I mean, during this podcast, you've reminded me like how much stuff I've done. And like I said earlier, like, wow, I'm not even 40 yet. Like, that's crazy. That is really cool to think of just how much I've already done, and I'm not even halfway through my career yet. So, it's humbling and also really exciting for the next stuff that'll be happening, the next chapter, where to go from here. There's always going to be, I'm always going to be making Ollie and Scoops or more cartoons. I have, a lot of the time people don't even ask this, but I have way more ideas
Oh, I
besides
can only
Ollie and Scoops
imagine.
and Too Loud. It's just, it's just a matter of making them. They're just not made yet. But yeah, I have plenty of ideas on the back burner as well. Lots of characters, lots of fun, stories and relationships and stuff like that. But hey, we got all the time in the world to make them.
That is true. That is true. I mean, just like I guess people probably don't ask that a whole lot because you put a lot of time and emphasis, especially in Alli and Scoops these days. But it's not like you're not always creating and you're not always like developing something. Like I'm genuinely curious now that you did bring it up. If you had an
Mhm.
opportunity to work on one thing other than Alli and Scoops, is there a particular idea that you think you could like that you would love to bring to fruition?
I have a few. I have it sounds a little similar to Too Loud. That's only because I created it at the same time. But it's a teenage boy and girl that work in the world's last video store. If there was like one
Oh,
last video store, kind of the two teens working at a job kind of thing. But it's totally different from Too Loud. But that show is called Rewind.
yep.
I have actually I have two characters that predate Ollie and Too Loud. That's Scribble and Scarfy. It's two like hipster girls who live in LA. That's definitely a more mature audience's idea.
Okay.
But just two girls' misadventures of two 20-year-olds. And then some of the oldest characters. I don't really know how this would work legally, but there are characters that we had in Happy Hour in our public access show. It's Leatherface and Jason, Jason Voorhees and Leatherface, and the old there's been tons and tons and tons of ideas. What if this character and this character were roommates? It's called Room
Mm.
666, but we take it in a different direction where like they used to be murderous psychopaths, and now they're just kind of like ready to join normal society, but everyone is still scared by them because they look creepy. But we came up with so many stories for this. It sounds really dumb and like a waste of time, but it actually, like, I don't know. I really like those characters that we kind of rejiggered them, and they look like Leatherface and Jason, but we really like honed down these new really fun personalities for them. And I can only talk so much about it. You'd have to just see it, but I would really love for that to be a cartoon, or they were live action videos that it was my brother and I. He was Leatherface and I was Jason. But if that became, if we kept doing that, acting it, or if that became like an animated version, again, they're copyrighted characters, so who knows? But I have a lot of ideas for them too that are really, really fun. I would love for that to be something someday too.
I feel like if you can find a way to talk to the right people and if you had the proper funding behind it to really, work with the IPs or whatnot,
Yeah.
that would be just so fun. Like you just even describing that last little bit right there of like these two horror icons just trying to live life while everyone else thinks of them as like obviously the people that murder. That
Yeah. They're really
comedy.
sorry, and they just want to like, hey, just let's just forget, let's have a clean slate, and just kind of, it's these horror characters trying to just be a part of society, but
Right.
no one will let them, and that's their struggle, is just trying to be, everyone's still so scared of what they did in the past or what they look like or whatever. Everyone just freaks out whenever they see them, and they're just
Exactly.
trying to be two normal guys.
Exactly. Exactly. But how about for this next question, if I may? I know you kind of talked about, what the next step would be. How about I give you more or less the next step that you could only dream of? And give you, Nico, more or less the dream scenario. Let's say I am Big Shot Mr. Moneybags right here. I come up to you and I'm like, look, Nico, we know you can do some absolutely incredible stuff. We've seen the work that you've had a hand in, and we've seen your stuff that you've been able to produce independently. We know there's a potential gold mines for some incredible content here. You just need that little extra, push, a little extra platform to really bring that vision to fruition. We have access to anyone and everyone in whatever industry possible, and more money than there should be possible. We really should be compensating the animators. They've been working hard on this stuff, and the project. We'll focus on them in a little bit. Right now, we are focusing on you and you alone. If given this opportunity, what would be the dream Nico Colaleo project?
Well, Ollie and Scoops are my favorite characters, as I mentioned. So I think it would just be like a studio production of that. Just taking them from indie YouTube shorts and making them into like a studio produced cartoon. Not only that, but I would just love to have my own physical animation studio where all my friends and all my artists and writers and everybody, we all, went to Monday through Friday, like a real job, all working together in a little animation powerhouse, like my own termite terrace. That's what the Looney Tunes studio. That's what they called it. But just have like my own little powerhouse studio where we would not only make Ollie and Scoops, but all my other ideas, and then not just my stuff, but other people's indie ideas, their dreams. I guess like places like Titmouse and Six Point Harness, are this too. They're indie studios where they not only make their own ideas, but people can come to them and get their stuff made too. So I think that's the ultimate dream is like like an Ollie and Scoops, bigger production, but then also having like my own physical animation studio to not only make my own stuff, but also other people can come and make their stuff too. And we all just make cartoons. That's what I want to do. We should all have just like our own desert island where we all just like make cartoons and make the world a better place.
It could be that island that I brought for the icebreaker question. That's our perfect little paradise right there.
Yeah, that's what I meant. That was the word I was looking for. A desert paradise.
There you go. I'll say, hey, maybe me and Tipsy can hop on board with that, so we can create our horror comedy indie animated idea that we've been trying so hard to crowdfund for, called The Evil Little Thing. Has she had an opportunity to pitch this to you?
No.
Ooh.
I want to hear about it.
Basically, like the one line elevator pitch is: imagine if 1950 suburbia, a couple of demonologists summon a demon goat in order to try to find one of their sisters that has gone missing. Chaos ensues, more or less. Like basically, like, I'll show you. This is the little demon goat himself. His name is Nemo. Exactly. It's one
That's
of the,
adorable.
yeah, you would not believe it, but this person could destroy society if he really wanted to. So our little demonologist couple, they're trying their best to figure out why he is the key to finding one of their sister or whatnot. And yeah, like I said, chaos ensues.
That's awesome. What's it called again?
The Evil Little Thing.
Okay, that's so cool. Yeah, I mean,
I definitely got.
I would love to have a studio where you could bring ideas like that and then get them made.
I gotta show you this stuff because like at the time that we're recording, we're at the tail end of us trying to crowdfund on Indiegogo to try to work on the pilot and such. Like we have the pilot written out. Luckily, Tipsy asked me to help her out with the writing for that. We've gotten our cast like down. We've got a good crew like developed or whatnot. But obviously, any help would be more or less appreciated. But even then, like just you like this idea, I have loved it ever since I first heard about it when I first talked to Tipsy before she helped me out with the podcast. It's a really cool idea, just having this kind of like 1950s normal suburbia output or whatnot, just being absolutely chaotically destroyed by a tiny little demon goat that again could destroy us, but instead just spends his days watching TV, being a squeaky, like literally like lands on the ground, you hear like the classic squeaky toy squeak. All right,
It looks like you'd make that sound.
Exactly right. Tipsy's very good with the character design, but sadly we gotta get down from the dream scenario. We gotta get back to reality, and I'll ask the ever so generic question: where do you hope to see yourself in, say, 5 to 10 years from now?
I will. I mean, I've already sold Too Loud, but usually my answer is, 5 to 10 years by now, successfully selling a pitch.
There you go.
I consider Too Loud that, but that was a short, that was YouTube Shorts for kids, and that I have successfully pitched, but I would also like to successfully pitch a TV show, a regular TV show
Right.
or movie.
Hey, either or. I mean, like, obviously, there's YouTube Shorts, especially these days, are nothing to scoff at. But I can
Yeah,
imagine just having the title of being a network TV show showrunner more than anything else
definitely.
is like an ultimate dream more than anything else.
Yeah, yeah. Um, in the next 10 years, I didn't. It would. I guess like the quickest answer, the simplest answer would just be, uh, you know, working primarily on my own stuff and not on other people's stuff. Not that I don't like working on other people's stuff,
Right.
but I always thought like by 40 or 45, I would really love to not be editing on other people's shows anymore and be only working on my stuff. So we'll see.
Well, there you go. I mean, that's an ultimate thing to strive for more than anything else. Um, as we start to wind down the interview, Nico, I just have one last question I want to ask you.
Sure.
Obviously, you are deeply entrenched in art in one way or another. We've established that from the very start, whenever you had that love of the old cartoons like the Looney Tunes and, the stuff that you grew up with the Steven Spielberg cartoons or with the Simpsons and such. How important is art, not just for you, but for the world as a whole?
We're nothing without it. We need it. We need art. We need culture. We need weirdness. We need interesting, fun, entertaining things. Otherwise, there's just all the fun is sucked out of the world. Um, yeah.
You know what? That very simple, but as wonderfully worded, if I do say so myself. Um,
Thanks.
that is all the questions I have for you, Nico. I've already showered you with a whole bunch of praise, but I want to shower you with a little bit more because it's my podcast. I do what I want. Um, uh,
Thanks.
like I said, Nico, whatever Tipsy first let me know that you were interested in even coming on the podcast, I was instantly just excited knowing kind of the hand you've had, especially nowadays with the indie animation scene. I mean, Ollie and Scoops is a good testament of that with just how incredible, professional, but also like very what's the word I'm looking for, like very heartfelt. Is a very heartfelt cartoon that I'm glad to see is out there on the internet for everyone to see. If they haven't seen it before, I highly recommend people do see it. Like it will make your day better no matter what, in my opinion.
Oh, thank you.
Here, getting a chance to sit down
Awesome.
getting a chance to sit down with you, getting the chance to really learn more or less like what got you up to this point and really hear about kind of the influence that all this stuff has and how much it really means to you. It makes me like truly love and appreciate you to a different level at this point. Like it's incredible to know that there are wholesome, incredible people like yourself working in this industry, trying to make it like truly something special, not just, another paycheck for some people, or not just, something, but like you really want to see this medium like grow and develop into something incredible that can inspire generations from here on out, just like cartoons of the past have influenced the generation that we are in today. And it's incredible to know that that love and support really comes through in your work, whether you're helping out other people with their stuff or you're producing your own things. The long and the short of it, Nico, is thank you for what you do. It is truly loved and appreciated. And I know you have several people that have your back, but just know that I also have your back as well. And I'm
Thank
excited
you.
and
Oh,
hoping for whatever you're producing next because I know it's going to be absolutely fantastic.
hey, that's incredibly kind of you. Thank you so much.
I'm just being 100% honest. All right, well, I already have you here. Why would I lie to you? Now, if people want to see what exactly I'm gushing about more than anything else, and you want people to see just the incredible stuff, go ahead and plug your stuff for the people at home.
Oh, I search YouTube for Ollie and Scoops, or it's YouTube. What is it? YouTube.com/Nico Animation.
Yeah.
We have a GoFundMe. It's more like a digital tip jar, more than like, oh, this is our goal, and if we don't meet the goal, we don't get to make the cartoon. It's not like that. It's more so just hey, if you like Ollie and Scoops, send $5 and just tell us you love it, something like that. I look at it as a digital tip jar, but that's an Ollie and Scoops GoFundMe. I'm sure you can find it just by Googling. I don't know. I'm on Twitter and Instagram. It's just my name, Nico Colaleo, both places. That's where you can find updates or behind the scenes stuff or on whatever I am working on or did work on. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Ollie
Yeah.
and Scoops is the main thing, so
I was gonna say, and for whatever reason you did miss any links, I'll be sure to have them in the description below. I got you covered more than anything else.
thank you.
Do you have any final words before we sign off?
Thank you so much for having me, and long live animation.
Long live animation. That is a wonderful way to end. With that, all I have left to say is for the people at home, if you can, pay your artists.
Absolutely.
Tell me what's wrong, tell me it's parts in motion. Sing me a song, tell me your eyes can all open. Show me it all, pick me up in the car you drove when you used to call. Show me it all.
Thank you so much for sticking around to the end. If this is your first time watching, I sincerely do appreciate it. Nico, if you've gotten to this point, sincerely thank you for all you're able to provide, both for indie animation and also for our interview. It was sincerely a fun and insightful chat that I will truly cherish. I cannot sincerely thank you enough for your time more than anything else. For everyone else, I sincerely hope that you enjoyed the conversation. Regardless, I mean, it was a sincerely fun chat, and it's chats like these that I sincerely love and cannot get enough of, no matter what. Which is why it pains me to say that if you haven't seen the announcement on Twitter, after today's episode, I'm gonna be taking a bit of a hiatus. It's not a creative burnout thing. It's not a lack of guests. Trust me, it's not that. It's more of a financial thing, to just be blunt. I'm sure you may have noticed that with all the thumbnails, I've said it before on the podcast and I'll say it now. With every single episode, I try to compensate the artist if I can whenever I have them do the thumbnail. And normally it's not that big of a deal. I'm normally able to do that thanks to the incredible living situation that I'm in. I don't take that for granted one bit. However, with recent finances really popping up, student loans with them being unpaused really screwing me, work being a little slower than it usually is, just an amalgamation of all sorts of different aspects. I have to pause putting out episodes for the podcast. It really pains me to do that, because I sincerely love these conversations. I sincerely cherish these conversations more than anything else. It really sucks, but it's just so I can recoup a little bit of my finances, and then I can come back making sure that I can do this consistently like I always do. I mean, it sucks that I have to do that at the end of what is regardlessly, I consider a great year. Like, I know the podcast is only 3 years old at this point, but I can easily say that this past year was the best year for the podcast so far. I mean, yeah, the previous year may have had the biggest episodes and stuff, but honestly, the quality of the conversations we've had, the output that we've had, the consistent quality of guests that we've been able to bring on. 2023 was a fantastic year for the podcast, and I do not take that for granted one bit. And I really wanted to come into 2024 coming out swinging, doing some incredible stuff, but my finances, yeah, words are wonderful. My finances just cannot keep up with it for the time being. And it really sucks because I hate doing that for you guys more than anything else. I will always love and cherish these conversations, but I just can't. I mean, if I hate to put it bluntly like this, but if the podcast was more of a money producer, this would not be an issue. It's just that with the viewership that I have with these incredible conversations, I don't get compensated enough for it. To put this in perspective, I have been monetized on this channel since July of 2022. Now, YouTube will not allow you to take out money from the podcast, from YouTube, unless you make $100. I have not earned $100 since July of 2022, according to the algorithm and according to my viewership. The merch is not a hot seller. I only have 2 people on my Patreon. Thank you, Jacob, and thank you, Wiley. And again, like I said, with the real life stuff, with work being hectic, student loans really rearing their ugly head, and all this kind of stuff, it's hard for me to keep up for the time being. The fact that I've gotten to a point where I've had to scrape by paycheck to paycheck while making sure that the artists are compensated. This is nothing against the artists themselves. The reason why I'm taking this hiatus is to make sure that I can compensate these artists, so I can make sure that they get the proper respect and proper credit that they deserve. That's why I want to make sure that I can pay them. That's why I want to make sure that if they are going to do the thumbnail, I can make sure that they are easily compensated for it. That's nothing against the artists themselves. It's nothing against their prices. It's nothing against how they're charging me. That's just how this works. I've always been a champion of if you can pay your artists. Well, right now I can't pay my artists. And it hurts me that I can't, but this is just a little sacrifice that I have to make. My goal is to hopefully be back by February. At the very least, I want to make sure I can get an episode out for Indie Animation Day in February 16th. But I can't guarantee anything. If there's some way I can find some sort of alternative, or I just save up until I feel secure starting episodes up again, then that's it's going to take. I'm sorry to do that to you guys, but that's just the nature of this, content creation thing. I'm sure the artists out there can understand that there's only so much that art can help you out with when it comes to the financial aspect of the shitty economy and bullshit. I mean, I'll still be lingering around. I'm still going to be active online. I just won't be pushing episodes out. If anything, I'm going to try to see if I can get another episode of Google Trendy out. Which if you guys haven't had an opportunity to watch, I sincerely hope you take the opportunity to go and watch it. It was a fun little concept that I definitely want to do again. Or maybe I could just do another, just bonus episodes where I just get a bunch of people and we just do another draw pile. I want to make sure that I at least put... I'm sorry. I at least want to make sure that I put something out for you guys. I can't guarantee when I'll be back with new episodes like I usually do. But just know that it's not because I'm done with this podcast. It's not because I have grown tired of the content that I'm pushing out. It's quite the opposite. It's because I want to make sure that I keep pushing out this content. I just financially can't. I mean, if you guys want to help me out, just check the links in the description below. Buy merch, because I sincerely love the merch that we are selling, and there are so many incredible pieces that will look fantastic. Be a part of the Patreon. I know I have been slacking on putting stuff on there, but maybe if I see a few more people on there, I'd be more motivated to put some stuff on there. Hell, if you want, if we're close, if we're good buddies, just message me and see how you can just give me money. Don't do that, please. I don't want your guys' money that way. But like I said, the merch of the Patreon or whatnot, just any way that you can help, that would be greatly appreciated. But until then, I'm going to go quiet on the YouTube front and on the Spotify front for a couple weeks. But that doesn't mean that I am gone. It just means I have to take a break to get my finances in a row. While I'm going to be stopping, that doesn't mean you guys need to be stopping. Artists out there, please keep up the incredible work, all right? 2023, take it or leave it. It was either really good or really bad. I mean, trust me, there's so much chaos in the world, which, by the way, I'm going to bluntly say it. If anyone has anything against it, you can unsubscribe. I do not care. Free Palestine. That bullshit just... It's not a political issue anymore. It's human rights issues. There should not be this many innocent civilians absolutely massacred. But back to my original point. You guys going into this new year, I sincerely hope nothing but the best for all of you. I sincerely hope you get those opportunities. I sincerely hope you put out incredible pieces. I sincerely hope you're able to finish that project you have been wanting to bring out to the world. And I sincerely hope that you guys are able to get the love and respect for the hard work that you put into your stuff. All right? Keep up the incredible work. Keep up that love and support. And please keep being creative. I'll see you guys when I get back. I promise it won't be long, all right? I love you all. Keep up the incredible work.